He said about President Obama, I'm going to quote you, he grew up and nobody knew him. Nobody knows who he is until later in his life. The whole thing is very strange. What are you driving at there? Are you a Bertha,
well,
Donald?
Okay, let me just tell you, I was a really good student at the best school. I'm not like a smart guy, okay?
In the center of the stage tonight, businessman Donald Trump.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Again, we're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, to be clear, you're standing on a Republican primary debate.
I fully understand. If I do win and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge. If I'm the nominee, I will pledge I will not run as an independent. But and I am discussing it with everybody, but I'm talking about a lot of leverage. We want to win, and we will win.
One of these.
This is what's wrong. I mean, This is what's wrong. He buys and sells politicians of all stripes. He's already, hey, look, he's already hedging his bet on the Clintons, okay? So if he doesn't run as a Republican, maybe he supports Clinton or maybe runs as an independent. Okay. But I'd say that he's already hedging his bets because he's used to buying politicians.
Well, I've given him plenty of money.
Talk about Megyn Kelly, because you brought her up. She did push you, pushed a lot of people, but what is it with you and Megyn Kelly?
Well, I just don't respect her as a journalist. I have no respect for her. I don't think she's very good. I think she's highly overrated. But when I came out there, what am I doing? I'm not getting paid for this. I go out there and, they start saying, lift up arm if you're going to, I didn't know there'd be 24 million people. I figured, but I knew it was going to be a big crowd because I get big crowds. I get ratings. They call me the ratings machine. So I have, she gets out and she starts asking me all sorts of ridiculous questions. And, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever. But
Mr. Trump, one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't. Your Twitter account...
Thank you.
For the record, it was well beyond Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
Your Twitter...
This country is in big trouble. We don't win anymore. We lose to China. We lose to Mexico. What I say is what I say. And honestly, Megyn, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that. But you know what? So I'll just tell you, so I'm on the plane, and I see this vicious tweet, because I've been nice to Scott Walker. And, he's a nice guy. He came up to my office like 3-4 months ago, presented me with a plaque, because I helped him with his election. I liked that he was fighting. At least I didn't know what the hell he was doing, but he was fighting, and I like a fighter. Does that make sense? So I've been very nice to him, but he brings me this beautiful plaque. I don't know who pays for it. Does he pay for that, or does Wisconsin pay for it? I don't know. But it's beautiful. And I'm being very nice to him. And then today I read this horrible statement from his fundraiser about Trump. I said, oh, finally I can attack. Fine. So if it weren't for me, you wouldn't even be talking about illegal immigration, Chris. You wouldn't even be talking about it. This was not a subject that was on anybody's mind until I brought it up at my announcement. Since then, many killings, murders, crime, drugs pouring across the border, our money going out and the drugs coming in. And I said, we need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly. And I don't mind having a big, beautiful door in that wall.
First of all, Hillary Clinton gave her first interview yesterday in a long, long time, first national interview. She gave it to CNN. You give interviews all the time. You're out there, you're talking extemporaneously. Why do you think Hillary Clinton is not talking?
Well, Anderson, she's got a lot to hide.
Mr. Trump, Obamacare is one of the things you call a disaster.
Complete disaster, yes.
Saying it needs to be repealed and replaced.
Correct.
Now, 15 years ago, you called yourself a liberal on health care. You were for a single-payer system, a Canadian-style system. Why were you for that then, and why aren't you for it now?
First of all, I'd like to just go back to in July of 2004, I came out strongly against the war with Iraq because it was going to destabilize the Middle East, and I'm the only one on the stage that knew that and had the vision to say it, and that's exactly what happened. What I'd like to see is a private system without the artificial lines around every state. I have a big company with thousands and thousands of employees. I've given millions. I've given millions to everybody.
So do you give, though, based on principles, or do you give based on who's going to do things for you politically?
They all love me. Let's put it that way. They all love me. I did very nicely in life.
They're talking about the building we're sitting in right now. They're saying Trump Tower was built on undocumented immigrant backs.
How many years ago was that?
This was, what,
35 years ago.
35 years ago.
Yeah, they said 35 years ago.
But this was a court case. 200 illegal immigrants, Polish workers, guys working for $5.
Anderson, I hire a contractor. The contractor then hires a subcontractor. They have people. I don't know. I don't remember. That was so many years ago. 35 years ago, they said we had some illegal.
This was a court case settled in 1999. You settled with them.
It's all right. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I remember the case. Frankly, I remember it very well. We hire contractors. The contractor, very highly prestigious, very good they go out, hire subcontractors. Sometimes the subcontractors will have people working, but you know, it's pretty far down the line.
This was 200 Polish workers working without hard hats. Pretty noticeable on a union job.
When you have to go back 35 years to tell me about something, I think that's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you.
Mr. Trump, hold on one second.
I got a newsflash.
I know. Hold on, Senator Paul.
Newsflash: the Republican Party's been fighting against a single-payer system for a decade. So I think you're on the wrong side of this if you're still arguing for a single-payer system.
I don't think you heard me. You're having a hard time tonight.
All right, Mr. Trump, it's not just your past support for single-payer health care. You've also supported a host of other liberal policies. You've also donated to several Democratic candidates, Hillary Clinton included, Nancy Pelosi. You explained away those donations, saying you did that to get business-related favors. And you said recently, quote, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do.
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
If I ask them, if I need them, you know, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand. A lot of money.
Not me. Not me. But you're welcome to give me a check, Donald, if you like.
Many of them.
Actually, to be clear,
That's
he
right.
supported Charlie Crist.
Not Mike.
Hey, Charlie,
but I have.
Donald, if you end your campaign, I hope you
will tell you that our system is broken. I give to many people. Before 2 months ago, I was a businessman. I give to everybody. When they call, I give. And you know what? When I need something from them 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me. And that's a broken system.
So what'd you get from Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi?
Well, I'll tell you what. With Hillary Clinton, I said, be at my wedding, and she came to my wedding. You know why? She had no choice because I gave. Good. So we are going to now take a few questions. But I would have said, folks, we want those people back. And if they said no, I would have said bye-bye, and I would have doubled and tripled the sanctions, and we would have had them back very quickly. Very, very quickly. Believe me, we would have had them back quickly. Okay, let's take a few questions, and then I go to Phoenix, where we have a crowd that's slightly larger than anticipated, okay? Okay, who are the questions? Where are they? Do you have a mic? Good, go ahead.
I have a mic. Thank you, Mr. Trump. I'm Roberto Salinas. I'm actually from Mexico. I'm incredibly insulted by the remarks.
I was waiting for this.
Of course you were.
Good.
But, hey, I'm a friend of Freedom Fest.
Good.
I believe in freedom. I believe in the rule of law.
Good.
I believe in property rights. My heart goes out to Mr. Jamil.
Good.
There are illegal immigrants that are horrible and terrible. There are also legal immigrants that are horrible and terrible.
It's true.
So it's a question about rule of law. I am going to ask a question.
Ask a question, please.
My question is,
Did the government of
you
Mexico ask you to come up here and
Oh,
make
of
this?
course, of
Did
course.
they? Okay, go ahead, ask
I
your
knew
question.
you were-
Ask your
I
question.
knew you were going to say that.
Come on, you got a lot of people waiting.
Would you build walls around all the states in the United States to prevent all of those rapists and killers that come from elsewhere in the United States in order to avoid the problem?
No,
the way
I'd
you're
build a
suggesting?
wall. I would build a wall between our country and Mexico because people come from all over the world.
Senor Trump,
Let me just tell you,
you're
sir, you want to hear the answer? And all of the people, because I encourage legal citizenship. I encourage it, and I would encourage it, and I would encourage Hispanics, and I would encourage people from all over.
That lenders to your companies lost billions of dollars. Question, sir, with that record, why should we trust you to run the nation's business?
Because I have used the laws of this country, the chapter laws, to do a great job for my company, for myself, for my employees, for my family, etc. I have never gone bankrupt, by the way. I have never. But out of hundreds of deals,
but sir,
excuse me,
that's your
excuse me.
line, but your companies have gone bankrupt.
Out of what am I saying? When I use it, they say, oh, Trump, Trump, Trump. The fact is, I built a net worth of more than $10 billion. I have a great, great company. I employ thousands of people, and I'm very proud of the job I did.
To be interviewed by Chris Matthews, and I know that he enjoys that banter. The important distinction that I think we're going to be discussing, I'm confident we'll be discussing in this campaign, is the difference between Democrats and Republicans.
No straight talk there.
Well, I think she's a terrible spokesperson. I watched that, and I thought it was terrible. I thought her performance was terrible, and I really think she is not a good spokesperson for whoever she's representing. And frankly, you know, I hope she stays in that position, assuming I get it, assuming I win. I just hope she stays in that position because she is so bad at representing the views of the Democrats that it's absolutely incredible.
Well, sir, let's just talk about the latest example, which is Trump Entertainment Resorts, which went bankrupt in 2009. In that case alone, lenders to your company lost over $1 billion and more than 1,100 people were laid off.
Well,
is that the way that you run the country?
Let me tell you about the lenders. First of all, these lenders aren't babies. These are total killers. These are not the nice, sweet little people that you think, okay? You know, I mean, you're living in a world of the make-believe, Chris. You want to know the truth. And I had the good sense to leave Atlantic City, which, by the way, Caesars just went bankrupt. Every company, Chris can tell you, every company virtually in Atlantic City went bankrupt. Every company. And let me just tell you, I had the good sense, and I've gotten a lot of credit in the financial pages. 7 years ago, I left Atlantic City before it totally cratered, and I made a lot of money in Atlantic City, and I'm very proud of it. I want to tell you that. Very, very proud of it. But if you look at the deals we make, whether it's the nuclear deal with 24-hour periods, and by the way, before you get to the 24 hours, you have to go through a system. You look at Sergeant Bergdahl. We get Bergdahl, a traitor, and they get 5 of the big, great killers, leaders that they want. We have people in Washington that don't know what they're doing. Now, I agree.
So it's, you know, it's a whole big thing that I would be doing, and I would certainly use the best business people, the best negotiators in the world, because we have the best negotiators in the world. We don't use them. We use political hacks and people that don't have any talent.
Mr. Trump, closing statement, sir.
Our country is in serious trouble. We don't win anymore. We don't beat China in trade. We don't beat Japan with their millions and millions of cars coming into this country in trade. We can't beat Mexico at the border or in trade. We can't do anything right.